Hi crafty friends, it's Shana from ShanoukiArt. You may have recently seen my video about Art Journal August that's coming up. I was showing these mini double-sided art journals, one of which I will be using during the series. But you can work on anything when you art journal along with me. You can use index cards. You could use cardstock or mixed media paper, either loose or if it's in a book. You could use a sketchbook. What about an old book that you've converted into an art journal? I do have a way to prepare the pages for art journaling. I will link that video in the description box below. And these are pretty affordable for $1 or $2 at secondhand stores. Or you may have an art journal that you've already been using. You can fill that up or you could create one. I have a tutorial for this kind of scrappy art journal too. But I did have a lot of comments about the mini art journal that I will be using. I'm going to have it as part of a kit for some people who showed interest, but a lot of people asked if I could make a tutorial to show you how to make one of these mini journals. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make one. It's only 4 inches by 4 inches, and I've kept it small on purpose. I don't want it to be intimidating or scary when you're starting out on a new page, and I know it can be that, especially for people who are just starting out in art journaling. It seems the bigger the page, the bigger the fear. We're going to keep it small and doable. I've inserted a pocket for the front inner cover and the inner back cover. We can put some other art journaling goodies in there. And I only have 8 pages inside. I've kept it small so we can get through it and hopefully have fun while doing so. On the other side, when you flip it over, there's another signature inside. That's why it is double-sided, and I have the same amount of pages in that. The idea is we'll work together on the front signature, and then the back signature will be for you to work on your own. This is what it looks like. It's like a zigzag with a signature on the front and a signature in the back. So now you can make one that's similar to mine, and we can work on the same size journal if you wish. Again, you can work on anything you like. I've used a black and white paper range for mine. You can use anything. You can try and stick to black and white too. I specifically chose it because it creates great contrasts, which we'll use as part of our backgrounds. And then I also have a tie that I've left quite big because I think our journal is going to get pretty chunky. I think they're pretty cute. They're pocket size and they're going to be fun to fill up. Let me show you how to make one. It's really easy to measure if you're using a 12-inch by 12-inch cardstock or scrapbook paper. I do find sometimes these papers are not exactly 12-inch by 12-inch. This one is, so thankfully it'll be easy to measure. I'm going to place my ruler down and make a mark at 4 inches. I'm then going to use my cutter and cut down along this mark. This piece will be my cover. You don't need a brand new piece of cardstock for this. You can use a piece of scrap that you already have, as long as it's roughly 4 inches by 12 inches. And there we have our cover. I'm now going to make 2 more pencil marks. I'm going to mark with my ruler at 4 inches and 8 inches. This is where my fold lines are going to go. So once I've done the marking, I'm going to use my ruler to make a score line so I know where I'm folding. I place my ruler along the line or the mark that I've just made, and then I press the paper up against the ruler. This makes a score line, or for a better word, a fold line. Once I know where I should be folding, I can do proper folds and press down really well. Remembering we're going to fold one over and one under. We're going to create a zigzag. And we're going to sew our signatures in on this fold line and flip it over and on this fold line. We're now going to gather our papers for our signatures. Again, easy measurements. They need to be 4 inches by 8 inches. I'm using a variety of different paper designs for each signature, and I need 4 pieces for each. I'm also going to add one piece of book page, just because. I'm going to measure this and tape with my ruler where I need the size, and I'm going to use that extra piece that's come off as my pocket. I'm then going to fold it in half and then measure across, so it's going to be 4 inches, and I'm just going to tear off the excess. You can also use a cutter if you prefer. And then either using that piece as your template or actually measuring with your ruler, whichever way is easier for you, we're just going to make a mark and cut these down to size. Again, they're going to be 4 inches by 8 inches. Keep the spare papers that you cut off on this. Everything needs to be used. We'll use that as part of our collaging in the journal. So keep all the scraps. You can also make really pretty ephemera. We're then going to fold these in half. Just make sure you fold it really well. Use a bone folder if you have. The tighter the fold, the easier it is to sew in the signatures. I do check back every now and then to make sure that my papers are going to fit inside the journal. If they are going to stick out a bit, that is also fine. You can leave it or you can just trim it. It's going to be a messy art journal, so we're not looking for perfection. So from the papers you have just folded, put 4 together, one inside the other, to create the signature. So we have 4 papers, which makes 8 pages. We then need a strip of paper that's going to fit across the section, which is going to be our pocket. Mine is just short of 2 inches by 8 inches. I'm now going to move across to my sewing machine to show you how we're going to sew all this together. I'm first going to sew in the pocket. The first thing I'm going to do is fold this strip of paper that's for my pocket in half. That'll give me a center line, which will help me align it in the center of the book much easier. It's not going to fit exactly to the edge of the paper. It's going to be a few millimeters in from the edge. And sorry that I'm using millimeters here. I'm not used to working in inches, and I'm not quite sure what a couple of millimeters in inches will convert to. But I think you can see what I mean. Using a plain running stitch, I'm going to run the stitching down along the side of the pocket. I'm then going to do stitching across the bottom, all the way across, and then up the other side. If you're not comfortable with stitching or you don't have a sewing machine, you can also glue this or use double-sided tape. And there's our little pocket. Because I only have a few pages in my signature, I'm going to use my sewing machine to sew those in too. I'm first going to put some paper clips just to hold everything in place. I'm then going to align the center of the signature with the cover of my journal and do a running stitch all the way down. You can always hand stitch the signature in if you prefer. I'm then going to do the same with my second signature. I'm placing this one on the flip side. I'm actually going to flip this so that the white page is first. Otherwise, I have 2 pattern papers together, and I think I would want a white page and a design page as my opening section of the back side of the journal. And that's our journal stitched. Let's move back to the desk. Once you fold this, you can see how the little zigzag flip-flop journal works. I did decide to reinforce the spines of these journals only because our cover is really just one sheet of paper. It's quite thin. There's no cereal box underneath or any kind of harder cardstock, and I don't want it to tear over time. So I'm going to reinforce it by adding some masking tape. But before I stick the masking tape down, I'm going to add some adhesive. I'm using Mod Podge. The masking tape won't hold. It sticks, but it doesn't hold its stick really well, and I'm afraid it'll come off over time. So adding some glue, you can use glue stick, craft glue, or Mod Podge, whatever you have, just underneath the masking tape will be sure to hold it and creates a great reinforcement. And then I'm just going to trim the excess. I'm trying to not cut the strings. I like all the strings hanging off the journal, so I'm just holding those back, trying not to trim them. I might have accidentally cut one or two. This small section did come unstuck. I didn't apply enough glue, so I'm just going to add a bit more Mod Podge on the edge and re-stick that down. It then holds really well. We then need to add our little tie or our closure. Unfortunately, I didn't film this while I had the camera set up by the sewing machine, but I can show you what I did. You'll just need a piece of fabric. I have some white cotton that I use. It was actually a cover for a pillow that I had bought, and it's come in really handy. So you'll just need a strip. I just like to tear mine because I like the frayed edges. So I'm going to tear a piece roughly about 1/2 inch. We're then going to sew this on the back cover of the journal. It should be on the opening side. I fold the end back of the fabric just a little bit just to reinforce it, and then I run that under the sewing machine quite a few times using running stitch and zigzag stitch. I go back and forth at least 10 times. And then this will wrap around the journal and keep everything together, and if the journal or when the journal gets chunky, it'll still hold everything together. I really hope you enjoyed this video on creating a mini double-sided art journal and that you're off to make your own. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks for watching, happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!